Hey guys, it's your girl. Excuse my voice. I said I'd be taping, but I ended up getting sick again with none other than the flu. And now here I am sick again. So, yeah. This has been one unhealthy winter for my family. And I'm hoping that it'll be a much healthier spring and summer. But that's not why I'm here. I know I'm amateur, if not mediocre at best, YouTuber. And I'm chiming in on something real late that happened two and a half weeks ago. Actually, I think it happened at the beginning of February. And to tell you the truth, I'm a little disgusted. And I'll explain why. I've been hearing all about this whole Pewdiepie controversy. How he's racist and anti-Semitic and fascist. Okay. First of all, this is what I've gotten from doing my research into it. I've watched his channel. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't subscribe to it. But the dude has made himself by putting out content that people like. Secondly, he also is a self-admitted bad comic. And sometimes his jokes take him way too far to the dark side. He's openly admitted this. Now, a lot of people will say, but Jay, Janine, you make jokes. Yeah, so, and I make jokes. So, look at my subscriber base. I'm not saying this to get subscribers. I'm not saying this to get clicks. I do this for fun. If I happen to make 2 cents a month, okay. This is not clickbait. I could care about clickbait. Just because I'm going to have Pewdiepie in the title doesn't mean that it's clickbait. Nah, I got to weigh in on something. They call this poor young man a racist and a fascist. Really? I hang out with people worse than that. There are people in my family worse than that. Come on. I have Jewish friends. I have people who are very close to me who are Jewish. And I love them to death, and I would not do or say anything to hurt them at all. Occasionally, we step on each other's toes, which is true, we do. But no matter what happens, we always admit our wrongs. Now, Pewdiepie, Felix, if you will, I don't know the man personally, but he's apologized for making bad jokes. Now, I'm 45, y'all. I'm old school. I don't know how to edit. I just upload what I upload. This is a one-take thing. So, yeah, I'm rocking back and forth in an office chair in my bedroom. But this is a one-take thing. However, everything that I've seen and all the research I've done and watching out of the videos in question, just shows me a joke made out of poor taste. Now, he's openly admitted it was made out of poor taste and it went too far. He's apologized for it and he knows that he did wrong. That should end it right there. Now, let me back up a little bit. I am all about my freedoms and I'm all about shooting down people when they're wrong because that's just how I am. That's how I've always been. I don't put up with racism. I don't put up with fascism or anything to that nature because to me, racism is I'm trying not to use a curse word. But racism is so 200 years ago. And if you want to bring it further into the future, it's so 60, 70 years ago. Let's go 60 because there was racism right before I was born. I was born at the end of the civil rights movement. That's when I was born. I was born when Helter Skelter was hitting the courtroom. Yes, I'm talking about the Manson family. But you've got to understand something. I look at racism like it's the dumbest thing ever. Why do I say this? Because of my experience with my family in particular. Now let me explain. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I'm not trying to step on anybody's feet. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. But my mother married a man in the midst of the civil rights movement. 1964 and 65, she had a little girl, and then she had a little boy, my older brother and sister. My oldest sister is the oldest of our family, Audrey. The little boy was my older brother, Philip, who has now passed away. So, racism to us is an affront to our very existence. My mother married a black man and had 4. 1, 2, three, four of his children. My father was married before he married my mother, and I have the privilege of having a half-sister by his first marriage. So I have 4 siblings. 3 currently because my brother has passed away. And when I hear racism, I get very upset and affronted and offended and pissy, if you will. But again, I did my research into Pewdiepie. And I sat here on YouTube and I watched his videos in question. I've read the Wall Street Journal article. And yes, do I agree that YouTube Red should have pulled out of the 2nd season of his series? Yes. Do I agree that Disney should have pulled out of their contracts with him to make a series? Yes. The jokes were made in poor taste, and you can't have something like that coming down on Disney. You just can't. Even though they've had their share of scandals too. And YouTube is currently going through their own scandal with the unsubscribe bug. It's happened to me. But again, my subscriber base is very small to nil. So any skin off this nose, if anything, there's oil coming off this nose. But as far as PewDiePie is concerned, I read the Wall Street Journal article, and at first I was very affronted because here it is a very well-known YouTuber who has a very wide and very broad fan base and is making a lot of money off of the content he puts out. So, me being the person that I am, I went ahead and I said, okay, I'm going to look at these videos and I'm going to judge for myself, because I don't take any kind of media's word for it. Never. So I looked. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait a minute. These are just really bad jokes. Granted, they're offensive jokes, but they're bad jokes. That doesn't make somebody a racist. It also doesn't make him a fascist. May make their IQ a little slow. A little low. May make you wonder about his thought processes. Does he not think before he speaks? Which I think he already said he doesn't. But here's my thing. They're bad jokes. Nothing more, nothing less. Leave the man alone. Just because he makes more money than you doing video game videos and bad jokes. The man also does live streams for charity. for charities that need the money. And he raises a great deal of money for those charities. Leave him alone. Now, as I said, I've had people in my family say worse. I've got people in my neighborhood that say worse to me. I am a biracial woman who could care less. I've got Jewish friends and family. I'm pretty sure they could care less. It's not hurting them. It's offensive to them, but it's not hurting them. And now I'm hearing that, oh, and let me go back. I looked into one of the authors. I was about to say authors. One of the authors of this article for the Wall Street Journal. And here he said something offensive about Jewish people, in my opinion. And then he had the nerve to judge Pewdiepie. So me being the person that I am, in all fairness, I tweeted out what he said. Now, I found out about that through another tweet that was sent out by another YouTuber. I'm not going to bring up names, but I'm pretty sure y'all already know who. But I usually don't take, again, I don't take people's words for it. So I went into this person's Twitter account or Twitter stream, whatever you want to say. I didn't hack into his account. I don't know his password. But I went back and I looked at this man's tweets. And sure enough, there's this tweet about Jewish people and how he spent his first Hanukkah party. Really? Now, me being the friend that I am to Jewish people, I found that offensive. But what affronted me was that this man had the nerve to judge Pewdiepie. After no less than, 2 months? Month and a half, 2 months? After he said this on Twitter. Does anybody get the irony in this that I see? I hope you do. Now, let's jump forward. People all over YouTube are talking about this. And other YouTubers who are friends with Felix are coming to his defense. Felix's fan base as Pewdiepie are coming to his defense. And some unsavory people are also coming to his defense. Such as hate mongers and the true Nazis and the true fascists. They're coming to his defense. And PewDiePie has openly said, I don't want these people's help. Nah, I don't believe in that. PewDiePie shouldn't have to keep apologizing, especially since he's already apologized. That's just my opinion on it. Now, somebody else chimed in on this, and it has kind of bothered me because In my opinion, this person should know better. They're not exactly what I call a media mogul, but they are a mogul nonetheless. This person has made their fortunes on writing books for children and has in those books spoke out about against fascism and false reporting. Now, it's obvious the Wall Street Journal, they didn't fact check anything. They took everything from PewDiePie's channel out of context. They also didn't talk to Felix. Once Felix spoke out and told the world that nobody from the Wall Street Journal had knocked on his door, they knocked on his door after they wrote the article.
This is weird.
Unplug my mic. Just unplug my mic.
Well, I muted it. I even have...
And you can still hear me. Uh-huh.
And it's driving me nuts.
It's messing me up in the head that nobody held the authors of this article for the Wall Street Journal accountable for not going to Felix and getting his take on this.
Okay.
Or even talking to Felix. The Wall Street Journal didn't hold these authors of this article accountable. No, what did they do? After the article was put out and everything blew up and PewDiePie had gone onto his own platform and said, nobody came to me. Nobody from the Wall Street Journal talked to me. Nobody did this. Nobody did that. A week later, we need a statement from you. It's a little bit too late. Now, this other person I'm talking about, J.K. Rowling, Miss Harry Potter yourself, you're going to go on Twitter like a certain other person that's been going around on his Twitter and talking about stuff he shouldn't be talking about. But we won't go there. And spoke on something you have no idea about. Really? My children own all of those books, including the new screenplay. My children own all of those movies. And right now, with what you tweeted out about PewDiePie being a fascist, but yet you stuck Rita Skeeter into your books to speak out, it maybe not to speak out figuratively, maybe even symbolically, but figuratively against false reporting. And here you're going to take a false report and hold it against somebody who works on another platform different than you. Really? JK, come on now. I am not JKing. This is serious. You should know better. You don't speak out about something you don't know until you fact check it. Yeah, I know I sound like Hillary Clinton. Somebody needs to fact check. No, just open up YouTube. Type in the search column Pewdiepie and watch the videos in question. Nobody did that. And if they did, they took stuff out of context and wrote a false article about it. It's bullshit. Whew, I almost cursed y'all. I'm trying not to. But that bugs me. It bugs me. People should be held to a higher standard, including PewDiePie. Felix should hold himself to a higher standard and never, ever, ever make those kinds of jokes ever again. Am I taking his side on this? Absolutely not, because he's wrong, and he knows he's wrong. He's apologized for it, and I'm thankful that he did apologize for it. But for people to keep it going, such as J.K. Rowling, and smash it in somebody's face, frankly, J.K. Rowling, you're a billionaire. What PewDiePie makes off of YouTube is chump change to you, Miss Billionaire. So what's your problem? He's inconsequential according to everything that you've done. He's inconsequential. In your world, he's a non-factor. But to us YouTubers, there are YouTubers out there that would love to see PewDiePie come down. But if he did, therein lies the question. If PewDiePie is, what's the word I'm looking for? Brought down by his own stupidity, then what does that do for us other YouTubers who are just doing this out of fun and are doing it just to be stupid? And frankly, I do it just to be stupid. Why? Because I just do it for fun, just to get my kicks, just to make everybody see how silly my kids are, how handsome my husband is, what my life is on a daily basis, what I put up with. Yeah, I don't upload as often as PewDiePie or a Markiplier or a Rice Gum or a kid behind the camera or an angry grandpa or a graveyard girl. I don't upload as often as them. But I do upload when I'm healthy. But here's the thing. If PewDiePie is brought down for saying something that he openly admits is wrong, then the rest of us YouTubers are going to be held to that same standard. Which, don't get me wrong, holding us to a higher standard is a good thing. But to that kind of standard, no. Because I watched somebody speak out on it just now, and I'm going to say his name because he's absolutely right. The Amazing Atheist. He openly said straight out he didn't like PewDiePie because, frankly, he thinks that PewDiePie's channel's boring and is inconsequential. Okay. And he says that's just his opinion. And would he like to see PewDiePie come down? Yeah, because he doesn't like him. He doesn't like, it's not that he doesn't like him as a person. He doesn't know him. So how could he not like him as a person? No, he's envious of his channel. And he openly admits that. So, and frankly, I'm envious of his channel. I've only got 20 subscribers, y'all. So, think about it. But as far as PewDiePie is concerned, let it go. Let it go. It's over. Wall Street Journal did some false reporting, trying to make the YouTuber of all YouTubers look bad. They succeeded. They made him look bad. But a lot of people didn't think that stuff was going to be researched and people were going to speak up. We did. We did our research, and now we're speaking out. And now I'm going to say this for the last time. Let it go. Let it go. Should PewDiePie take action against the Wall Street Journal? He could. It's false reporting. Where's their facts? His past videos that they took out of context? That's exactly what they did. They took it out of context. And if you take things out of context, you're taking things wrong. And if you're taking things wrong, therein lies the rub. Can he go after them? I don't know. Should he? Maybe. See, YouTube gives us YouTubers the freedom to speak and do things on this platform that we don't have anyplace else. That is to upload videos and entertain in our own way. Yeah, I'll put some oil on that as soon as I buy a new office chair. But am I going to come down on the guy's freedom of speech? No. Am I going to come down on him for being stupid? Yes. You were stupid. You were very stupid. Those kinds of jokes are not funny. They're not funny at all. They're offensive. But you already know this because you apologized for it, and that I applaud you for it. I applaud you for it. Highly. But you're still stupid. You're stupid. You said them knowing that they were the wrong thing to say. You said them knowing they were offensive. Now, did you think you were going to get the backlash that you got? Probably not. But you got it. Now you've stood there and you've taken your licks. You've apologized and you said, Maybe I'll think before I speak from now on. Good, because you need to. But now that you've stood there and you've taken your licks like a big boy, and you put on your big boy panties, other people just need to let it go. Stop calling him a racist. Obviously, it's not. It's just in poor taste. That's the phrase I was looking for. Poor taste. It was done in poor taste. I've asked several of my Jewish friends what they thought about it, and they've all said if it was done out of poor taste, and that's the statement they used. If it was done out of poor taste, then let him take his licks. If he meant what he said, then he deserves everything he gets. Then when the research showing that everything was just done out of poor taste, that then leave the guy alone. Again, there was something done out of poor taste. Leave him alone. And when they saw the apology, they were like, well, at least he knows he did something wrong. Funny. Wall Street Journal. J.K. Rowling. If the Jewish people I can go to say, if he meant it, hellfire and brimstone. If he didn't mean it, let it go. Now, Wall Street Journal, you've been around for how long now? And you're not going to hold these journalists, writers, whatever, to a higher standard? Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Why? Where was their fact check? Yeah, I'm smoking a cigarette. I'm a smoker. So what? Yeah, I have no voice and I'm smoking a cigarette. I'm a smoker. So what? I didn't lose my voice due to smoking. I lost my voice due to pepperoni. Whole nother story. But where were their fact checkers? Where was their research team? Why weren't their writers and their journalists held to the standard that these journalists and writers are trying to hold Pewdiepie? Now we're hitting on it. Nobody's brought that up yet. Actually, it has been brought up. I'm pretty sure it has. I just haven't seen it. But I'm going to say it. Where's the consequences for this false reporting? Where are the consequences? I don't see them being fired. Come on. They didn't really hurt PewDiePie all that much. It hurt his ego. Yes, it hurt his ego. But as the amazing atheist said in his videos, PewDiePie, in one they will get the views that I get in 6 months. 6 months, maybe a year. For real. I don't care. This is somebody who, A, does not live in the United States. Thank gosh for that. Because of what he said. Because if he would have lived in the United States, there would have been a run on Felix's house. B, I'm not saying that he shouldn't live in America. No. He has the right to live wherever he wants. But we got enough people in America. There ain't no more room. There ain't no more room here. That's why I said it. In Philly, we packed on top of each other. There ain't no more room. I'm just saying, y'all. Leave the boy alone. All of us have said something stupid in our lives. I'm pretty sure I've said a couple of stupid things in this video. But all of us have said something stupid in our lives. And this is a young buck who's basically the face of YouTube, who openly admits that he's dumb. And that he's a bad sense of humor. And jokes went too far. Now, should he have flipped off the Wall Street Journal? Absolutely. Absolutely. They flipped him off. Eye for an eye. You're going to write about him falsely. If you're going to write about him falsely and expect no consequences, you expect him not to say anything. He had every right to flip him off. Now I'm saying, leave YouTube to YouTube. YouTube is doing enough governing us as YouTubers. You guys do everything else. They're already governing us. They're trying to censor us. And now there's this whole subscriber bug. They're trying to make the channels more PG, which is understandable because I curse like a sailor and I have young kids. So y'all see how hard of a struggle it was for me not to curse. But leave YouTube to YouTube. They're governing us enough. We've got enough on our plates with YouTube trying to censor and reassign subscribers. Come on, guys. You old world people like me. This is a new platform for me. My kids told me, Mom, get on YouTube. That's the only reason why I'm doing it. Mom is on YouTube. So I'm going to end it off here because my phone is my camera and it's about to die. So, and it's already at 45 minutes and I've ranted enough. Or babbled, whichever you choose. Don't answer that. So again, I'm going to end this off. Like, subscribe, favorite. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Shankara or /Shankara. I do not have Snapchat. Not going any further with any social media. So if you guys look at Twitter, look at Facebook, look at Instagram, look me up. Love you guys to the moon and back. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.